Hello, everybody. It's Ken Faulkner, and yeah, it's still Faulkner 5 time. Yeah, when you do five knives, one a week, it takes a long time to get through them. In this world where a lot of the YouTube channels are getting in 5, 10 more knives a week. And they're like going through them. So it's kind of my channel's a little odd anyway. I mean, you guys know that if you've been here before. But anyway, we're ready to move on to the next one, and this will be the last one. So Blade Show will happen. We'll get back to buying knives. I am not gonna have. I'll get a bunch of knives when I go to the show, but other than that, I'm getting maybe one or two max a week, that kind of thing. Going back into my collection, showing some stuff. It's more really about collecting knives. Sometimes we'll do just subject videos and talk about things, and I might cut back a little bit because I have been doing like seven a week, even though it's two on Saturday, because I'm skipping Friday. I may back off a little bit, but at least I'll be bringing knives in a little bit more regularly. Let's put it that way. So this whole forum, I'm sure some people like it. Some people, would rather have like, what's the latest knife? What's the latest knife? I got my eyes on some that are going to be the latest-ish, knives. Definitely thinking about it for when I go to Blade Show, and after Blade Show, I'll be opening up to trying to find stuff to buy. Right now, I'm almost trying to avoid finding things to buy. Except for things that I can get at Blade Show, because there's only certain vendors there, so not everybody's going to be there. But anyway, let's get into it before it gets too long. This is the one that was the Faulkner 5 number 4. I've been calling it the F5, kind of shortening things, and that's probably confusing people, but sometimes the descriptions, you don't want to get too long. So anyway, this was number 4, and it was the MSI, and it did extremely well. Maybe even best so far, possibly. Certainly, the Edge did so well on this one. Great design. It's a big knife. Now we're going from this big knife to a much smaller knife. So we'll kind of put these side by side, pivot to pivot, as they say. And you can see we've got a lot more length closed, and got a lot more length open. So we're longer. This is the Pictus, by the way. This is the Gecko Customs. Picked this one up at Blade Show. And you can see the blade shorter, handle shorter. So, this is a little adjustment, right? And it's interesting because I've always been into big knives, at least earlier on, but I've clearly convinced myself or realized, didn't really plan it that way, but I realized that, yeah, I am starting to like some of the smaller knives. I still like something that's at least an EDC size. I do have a few in my collection that are, almost freakishly small, but they're not, like the regular thing you're going to find. If I can get my full hand on there, even with the pinky kind of going off the end there, that feels pretty good to me. This thing's got a wicked hollow grind. Excited to see how this one performs cutting wise. It's factory edge, hasn't been sharpened yet. It will be sharpened before the end of the week. We will take it apart. It is an inset liner, so another different version. I don't think we had an inset liner yet. So anyway, yeah, titanium. Nice milling. This is kind of just the overview video where we kind of go over specs and all that kind of stuff. So it is the Pictus. I think it's been around for a while. I was familiar with the name when I saw it at the show. I hadn't really had it in my on my list to buy at that point, but I was talking to the guys at the booth, and they had a couple good ones that I was interested in. They had one that was a newer model, a little bit bigger, a little more expensive, And I kind of opted on this one. This one had a really good price, and we're going mid range on this set of Faulkner 5. So this is very near the top because 250 is the cutoff point for the mid range. This is 239.99. That's what I see it on online. Don't remember exactly what I paid for it at the show. Might have gotten a couple bucks off. That does happen, or sometimes it's the same price. But anyway, it's got this dark wash titanium. This is so cool. Some people are just all about the titanium, and you see their collection. You go on Instagram. That's a kind of a way to kind of see what people have in their collection. Go to Instagram because you can see. I don't go for me because I don't have very much stuff there. You'll see some stuff, so you can kind of see things. But got the little gecko on there. Again, if I had a better camera one of these days, I got lots of room to grow. At least you can kind of look at it that way. But it's kind of a cool gecko on there. That's a cool maker's mark. The hollow is just exceptionally cool with the way that this front end comes out, and it's like a clip point, but it's not even straight. It's got a little arc to it. Makes that tip more wicked looking, and maybe a little more fragile, being hollow and kind of having that less material behind it. So, I'm not going to be trying to pry anything with this thing. Certainly, if I want to poke into something, it's going to do a great job with it. Just a clean look. It's got the milled pocket clip, and it's got nice features to it, which make it not a hot spot at all. You can kind of choke up because it does not have a flipper, or not a back flipper. So because of that, it's kind of a flat spot with the choil. Very nice sharpening choil. Your plunge does go down pretty quick, which a lot of people like. I always kind of worry about it. I don't think this one's too steep, but sometimes if they're too steep, it's almost like a weak point potentially in the knife. But then again, so is this tip. So this is not something I'm going to be cranking on, prying on, or anything like that. So I'm not really worried about it at all. So yeah, you're not going to have a problem with sharpening. What's that? The thing people have been looking at is where the stop pin is, and the stop pin is back behind where the choil is. It's inside this area, and we'll see that when we take it apart. There's the lock face right there. It's kind of in between the lock face and this front flipper. So it is a front flipper, and it works really well. Index and over the top. I did prove that earlier, and obviously it's always a little harder. I'm definitely getting better at the over the top, I'd have to say, but yeah, it's a little harder under the camera, but I am able to get it for sure. I like the way the pivot looks. It's just very clean looking, nice, simple. It doesn't have a lot of fancy mocha, tie or Timascus or even some kind of fat carbon. It's just nice and simple, and I do like knives like that. I'll go both ways, though. I mean, you know what I mean. I'll do some of the fancier, more colorful stuff. A little pop of color has no problem for me, but this is nice. It's not all monochrome. Sometimes you get those full monochrome, which are nice in their own way, but I like the satin mixed with the titanium, the dark wash titanium on this one. Looks really nice. Even you get a little contrast in your inset liner lock, which also has excellent pass through. A little bit of jimping actually on that that liner lock, so it gives you a little bit of extra gripping. The jimping up here for the front flipper is very good. It's way back when you have the knife open, so you're not really getting much in the way of jimping here, but it grips very well with this this milled titanium, so I'm not so worried about sliding up or anything like that. If you're trying to push into a cut, your thumb may slide around a little bit, but certainly for the flipper action, it's working very well. I do like the cutout here. It not only kind of looks cool, but it has that kind of step down thing. If you ever watch Sawtooth Dave, Barefoot Bruisers, he's got this cool thing calls the chameleon eye, and he does like a 3-step version. But you see a lot of them with this little step in there. It's a little extra milling. They're gonna have a little extra expense there, but it looks really cool. And certainly it works well. Gives you lots of options on where to get your flick on, so to speak. You can go all the way down here. And I'm sure if you wanted to do the multi-finger, I've seen people do that. I'm not super savvy with it, but I mean, it's got so much real estate there, and yet it's thin enough that you're not going to be dropping your finger in there and getting it caught when you're trying to do the flick. So that flick works really well. Thumb-wise, yeah, you can get it. You kind of have to kind of get it here and push it to the side to get it. Not so much straight up. Kind of like the middle finger flick, you know, kind of in that same direction, but it does work with the thumb. It's not something I really mess with that much, but it is possible. Overall kind of measurements. See a lot of people measuring the overall on knives recently. That number seems to be kind of important to people. So I'm looking at about 7 and 5/8. Usually I worry more about, like here, 3 1/4. That means that my hand isn't fully going to be comfortable in there. 3 1/2 would be good, but the thing is it has this nice little area back here, and so that pinky can kind of ride off, and it almost helps with if you're going to do a little stab, which you're not going to do anything too too extreme with that tip. But it kind of reinforces it so that it's not going to slide back. Your hand's not going to slide up on the knife. Now, if you do that choke up, kind of that half and half, little, you know, there's a choil, not really a finger choil, and like a half of a flat spot. So between the two of them, it's a nice, comfortable spot to hold on to it in a choke up position. Really getting your finger up there. You can, you know, get that finger up for really good utility, and it is so fine on the point that this is going to be great for doing any kind of package opening or anything like that. That pinch grip is really, really good. With that hollow, it kind of gives you something to hold on to. The grind lines are incredibly cool, just beautifully done, beautifully done. I mean, it is, you know, this is a little bit high in the mid range, but that's the kind of thing that you're paying that extra money for, is that machining here, machining in the groove. This little dip down in here, just little features, you know, the way that the back and the top of the knife follows the line of the top of the spine is just beautiful, the way it's done. I mean, everything is just so nicely, the aesthetics, the beauty of the design is just amazing. Very, very good. And that's kind of why, you know, it's all these things, but that's kind of why I saved this for last. It's like, it reminds me of a Null Knives design. In fact, I actually said it there, and they go, oh, no, it's not a Null. But it does kind of remind me a little bit of my Voodoo. But certainly, it's not a copy of in any way, shape, or form. It's just got that same excellent, just ergos, feel in the hand, well designed, all these great things that I love about a knife, especially one about this size, you know, in this size range. Just to have all that stuff going on is very, very cool. So the blade length, I think we're getting at least a little bit more than 3, slightly over, like 3 1/16 on the cutting edge, due to that tip coming out like it does. The overall blade length, I'd say, is 3 1/4, which is great. You know, certainly EDC to full size. And like I said, the handle, I mean, if you go the full handle, it's almost, you know, 4 3/8, maybe another 16th in there. So it's pretty good, but it does have an inner area there. So that you utilizing the choke up or being able to pull back on this pinky area, I think that's great. I think that works out super well. Thickness, we'll get into more measurements here. Getting our calipers out. Turn it on. Zero it out. Okay. Make sure inches. Okay. Handle thickness. So a little under 1/2 inch. I kind of see a lot of 1/2 inch as being kind of the average. So it's a little bit smaller. It does not feel too tiny in the hand. It doesn't feel too narrow this way. At the shortest part, it's about 3/4. That's not so bad. And then it flares out, which is nice. The flare out is nice because going out this way is going to help you grip it. Going this way, if your finger's in here, or even if you're here, this finger's there, I feel locked in, you know. So it's not like that full neutral straight. I do like the fact that in both directions, with the flare back here and the flare to the front, kind of like the pinky in that little front area there. I mean, you got like nice options. Nice options. Blade thickness, 0.117. So like I see about 1/8 of an inch, and it's a little bit less. So it's more of a thinner, slicier blade. I will try to get the behind the edge. I always preface that with I'm not that great at getting 0.012. So I don't know if I'm quite right on it. 0.013. Up near the tip, it might even be thinner. Let's see. Because some knives will get thicker up in the tip, just to give it a little 0.018. So it might be a little bit thicker right there, but I might just not be measuring it correctly. 0.015 seems like it might be a little thicker. So anyway, it seems like it's going to be extremely slicey. I've always, you know, been able to cut well with everything I do, and I never notice it being not good at cutting. So, but we'll be testing that later on. I don't think we need to do any of the paper cutting because we'll do plenty of that coming forward or moving forward. The next video after this is going to be disassembly, so we'll see what it looks like inside. 0.32. That's pretty good. That's almost that inch to ounce ratio. Pretty darn close. It does feel like a light knife to me. It feels very nice. The action's smooth. I'm sure that it is on bearings because it just snaps out. And then the acoustics is quite a good snap on the way out. On the way down, it's kind of quiet. It doesn't necessarily drop, but it shakes down. If you keep this out, it will drop. You know, if you use the thumb to drive it out and let it drop on your thumb, it will do that. So if you like to do that, I don't tend to, but it does have that ability. And you saw there, maybe you didn't, there's that little nub here, which is not a flipper, but it's got a little nub area here, which matches to the shape of the handle. And if you like it to, well, that I got on the point, but if you get your finger up close to it, you can get it to stop beforehand. But in reality, you can just break the lock. There's not, I don't even know where the detent is hitting up here. Right there. So it's just barely. So once you're here, you're past the detent. So it's, I never even notice it because, you know, once you broke the lock, you know, not break it, but you know what I mean? Once you've broken it, you're pretty much past the detent, and it works really well. It's very user-friendly on the, you know, it's like something that just feels natural, the flicking out. You don't miss it. It's not like you have to readjust too much to get to it. It's just very easy. And I like that about a knife. That's like some of my favorite, especially smaller knives are like that, where you get it in hand and you just flick it out and it goes. And that is a beautiful thing for me. Voice is going tonight. A little tired. I don't know what's up with me lately. Getting old. Is there anything that I forgot? I don't think so. We got all the lengths, measurements, thicknesses, weights. I'm going to turn off the calipers. Materials. Oh, blade steel. Blade steel is S90V. So, no problem there. I think across the board, the majority of people really look at S90V as being quite premium. Maybe not the very, very best, but certainly up there. It's always puts a smile on my face, and most people do feel the same way, I think. And then titanium. I don't know if there's titanium screws. I guess I could look at the hardware. Well, we'll look at the hardware when we disassemble it, and that'll be on the next video. Yeah, it looks like it's titanium on the. Of course, it's not on the pivot. You don't want that. And the blade, of course. And steel on the inset liner, which is nice for the lockup, not sticking. I mean, it doesn't mean that if it's titanium on steel, it's going to stick, but it's just harder to make a knife with titanium to titanium and not ever have any kind of problem. Nice little back spacer there. 2 body screws. They probably look like T8s, but we'll find out. I think it'll be a fairly simple disassembly, but then, you never can judge ahead of time, right? And we'll see how it goes. So the Pictus, great knife. I'm really excited about it. So I'm excited to take it apart, clean it up, see how it feels afterwards, because I always see improvement, but it doesn't seem like there's any problem with it, So if I get improvement on something that's really good already, that's awesome. And then the cutting, I've always been able to cut with it really well. So if we get it, really good with the cut test and then sharpen it and it cuts even better, I mean, I can imagine this thing just, whew. We'll see. It could surprise me. You never know. All right. Thanks, guys. Enough talking, and thanks for watching. We're wrapping it up. So hang in there. If you're ready for this to be done, in some ways, I am too, believe me. But Blade Show is coming up, so we'll be wrapping this thing up. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one. Bye.